Hi everyone, welcome to Azad Revenge Stories channel. You're clearly not cut out for this. That's what Priya told me as she slid the termination paperwork across her stupid glass desk. $485,000 in sales. I missed the target by $15,000. 3%, 3%. I just sat there feeling like I was floating outside my body, watching myself nod while she explained how in this economy they needed top performers who could close. My hands were shaking, but I managed to sign the papers. I don't even remember what they said. Something about 2 weeks severance and returning company property and confidentiality agreements. The whole time she's talking, I'm watching her mouth move, and all I can focus on is this tiny little smudge of lipstick on her front tooth. This perfect polished woman who just crushed my life has lipstick on her tooth, and nobody told her, "Hi, I'm Danny. I'm 34 and until last Thursday, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep at Helix Biotherapeutics." Was past tense 8 years gone like that? Before I go deep into this, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know where you're watching from in the comments because honestly, I need to know I'm not alone in what happened next. I've never told this story to anyone but my therapist, and she had concerns. So I'm sitting there in Priya's office getting fired, and I'm thinking about how I've given this company everything. My 20s, my marriage, those years I could have had kids. Birthdays, holidays, weekends. I'd spent more time in doctors' waiting rooms than with my own family. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I scheduled my laparoscopy surgery around a product launch. I was literally taking conference calls from my hospital bed. Priya sent flowers to the office, not to the hospital, to the empty desk I'd be returning to. When my dad died last year, I took exactly 2 days off. 2 days. I flew back from his funeral on a red-eye to make a morning pitch to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I closed that deal. $86,000 commission check. Priya took me to lunch after and said, "See, some good came out of your little break. My little break to bury my father. We'll need your badge and laptop before you leave today." Priya said, not even looking at me anymore, already typing an email. "It'll monitor your account for the next 30 minutes. While you pack your desk. Don't make this difficult, Danny. Don't make this difficult." Like I'm a child having a tantrum in a grocery store. I remember standing up and feeling oddly calm. "Can I ask one question?" She sighed. Actually sighed. But was it always going to be this way, even if I'd hit the target? She finally looked at me with this fake sympathetic smile that never reached her eyes. "Danny, let's be honest. You've been struggling for months. The Patterson account, the Lakeside disaster. This isn't just about the numbers. It's about fit. You just don't have that killer instinct this role requires." That's when I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because in that moment, I knew she had absolutely no idea what I was capable of. You see, I'd spent the last 3 months quietly securing something that was about to change everything for both of us. Let me back up. I joined Helix right out of college. I was this eager, bright-eyed kid who genuinely believed in the medications we sold. Our flagship drug, Sorivex, actually helps people with autoimmune disorders. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis. I saw what these conditions do to people. I thought I was making a difference. Priya joined 4 years ago as our regional sales director. From day one, she made it clear she had big plans for our division. She came from one of those cutthroat New York firms, always talking about disruption and aggressive growth strategies. At first, I admired her. She was confident, impeccably dressed, demanded excellence. I wanted to impress her. God, I tried so hard. The first year was great. I was her golden girl. She'd introduce me to executives. "This is Danny, my star performer. Watch out for her." I'd beam like an idiot. Then something shifted. I started noticing little things. How she'd forward my detailed client reports to upper management without my name attached. How she'd schedule emergency meetings when I had big pitches, forcing me to reschedule. How leads I'd been nurturing for months would suddenly get reassigned to Jatin, her new favorite. The targets kept getting higher. Just for me, though. Other reps on the team had more manageable goals. When I brought this up in my performance review, Priya said, I set higher targets for you because you can handle it. Take it as a compliment. Last September, I landed the university hospital system contract, 3 years of work, countless lunches, presentations, clinical data reviews, 1.22 million deal, the biggest in our division's history. The company threw a celebration happy hour. Priya gave a speech about teamwork and how she'd been working on this account since she arrived. She barely mentioned my name. In the photos for the company newsletter, I was literally standing behind her, half cropped out. That night, I drank too much and cried in the bathroom. Renata from accounting found me there. She's this 60-something Filipino woman who's been with the company forever. She patted my back, while I sobbed about how unfair it all was. "Oh, honey," she said, "you think you're the first?" This is what she does. Builds people up, squeezes everything out of them, then discards them when they get too close to outshining her. Why do you think the turnover in your department is so high? I started paying attention after that. Started documenting everything. The changed targets, the reassigned accounts, the credit she took. I created a secret email folder called Receipts. In December, I was supposed to get promoted to senior account manager. Priya canceled my review, saying we'd revisit in Q1. Then in Q1, she said Q2. Meanwhile, Jadon, who'd been there half as long, got promoted. That's when I knew I'd never move up as long as she was there. But I had bills to pay. A condo mortgage, student loans that feel like they're multiplying in the dark. I couldn't just quit. Then came the Patterson account. Dr. Patterson runs 3 large rheumatology clinics. He'd been exclusively prescribing our competitor's drug, but I'd spent 2 years slowly winning him over. In February, he finally agreed to a lunch to discuss switching to Sorivex. The day before, Priya told me she was coming along. Too important to leave to chance, she said. During the lunch, she contradicted me twice about dosing guidelines, then promised Dr. Patterson pricing I knew we couldn't offer. When he eventually backed out, she wrote in her report that I'd mishandled a key relationship. The Lakeside disaster, she mentioned, that was a hospital where the purchasing director and I had built a great relationship. He was ready to sign, but needed a specific customized training program for his staff. I submitted the request to Priya. She denied it, saying it was off-brand. They went with our competitor. In her report, Dani unable to close despite favorable conditions. By March, I could see the writing on the wall. My performance reviews were getting increasingly critical. Clients I'd had for years were being reassigned for fresh approaches. My Q2 target was set at $500,000, nearly double what anyone else had to hit. That's when I made a decision not to give up, not to work harder, but to work smarter. Remember, I mentioned securing something. Here's where it gets interesting. Dr. Alelana Chen is the chief of rheumatology at Westlake Medical Center. Brilliant physician, respected researcher, sits on the boards of 3 medical associations. She's also notoriously difficult to get appointments with. Pharmaceutical reps have been trying to get her to even look at Sorivex for years. What no one at Helix knew was that Dr. Chen and I had a connection. Her daughter May and I were roommates in college. We weren't close anymore, but we still exchanged Christmas cards. I'd never used this connection professionally. It felt wrong somehow, but desperate times right. I reached out to May, got coffee, caught up, eventually mentioned I'd love to talk to her mom about our new clinical data. May made it happen. Dr. Chen was cold at first. All business, but we connected over my mom's RA journey. I didn't pitch her, just shared research, answered questions honestly, including where our drug wasn't the best option. Over several meetings, she warmed up, started prescribing Sorivex for select patients. The results were good. Then, in April, she mentioned something that changed everything. "You know, Dani, I'm chairing a committee to revise the treatment guidelines for rheumatic diseases this year. We are looking at all the latest data. Treatment guidelines, the holy grail in pharma. If Sorivex got favorable placement in the new guidelines, it would become the standard of care across thousands of practices." I prepared the most thorough presentation of my life. Every study, every data point, every patient outcome. I submitted a meeting request to Priya, critical presentation to Guidelines Committee Chair. She denied it. Focus on hitting your numbers, not chasing long shots. So, I did it anyway on my own time using my personal laptop. I met Dr. Chen on a Saturday at her office, walked her through everything. She was impressed with the data and my knowledge. 2 weeks later, she called me directly. I've reviewed everything carefully. I believe Sorivex should be listed as a first-line treatment option in the new guidelines. The committee agrees. This will be published next month. Do you understand what this meant? Sorivex would potentially become the default prescription for thousands of doctors nationwide. Hundreds of millions in revenue for Helix. All because of a relationship I built, a presentation I gave that wasn't even in my job description. I should have been ecstatic. Instead, I felt sick because I knew exactly what would happen. Prior would take credit. I'd be a footnote if mentioned at all. So I made a choice. I didn't tell anyone at Helix, not a word. I let Dr. Chen believe I was keeping my company updated. Meanwhile, I started reaching out to other key opinion leaders in rheumatology. Dr. Chen made introductions. Doors opened. By the time Prior called me into her office to fire me, I had relationships with 7 of the top rheumatologists in the country. Doctors who now prescribed Sorivex because they trusted me, not because they trusted Helix. And I had something else too. Something I discovered while building my receipts folder, but that part comes later. So there I am getting fired. Prior telling me I don't have the killer instinct. Me smiling knowing she has no idea what's coming. I packed my desk while the IT guy awkwardly hovered nearby. 8 years of my life in a cardboard box. Photos. My special ergonomic mouse. The stress ball shaped like a molecule that my first manager gave me. My plant. A peace lily that somehow survived years of neglect and fluorescent lighting. As I walked out, people avoided eye contact. Office fires are like deaths. Everyone's afraid the bad luck is contagious. Only Ranarter from accounting hugged me, slipped me her personal email. "This isn't the end for you," she whispered. She had no idea how right she was. I didn't cry until I got to my car. Then I absolutely lost it. Ugly crying, hyperventilating, pounding the steering wheel. 8 years. 8 years of my life, my youth, my energy gone. For what? So Prior could feel powerful for an afternoon. I sat there until the parking lot emptied. Watched Prior leave in her white Tesla with the vanity plate that said "Closer." Watched the lights go off floor by floor. And then I drove home, opened a bottle of wine, and made a phone call that would change everything. The call was to Xavier Nebs, VP of Sales at Lumininer Therapeutics, Helix's biggest competitor. I'd never considered myself the type of person who would do something like this, cross that line. But sitting there, wine glass in hand, staring at the pathetic box of desk plants and coffee mugs that was supposed to represent 8 years of my life, something in me just broke. Xavier had been trying to recruit me for 3 years. Little comments at conferences, LinkedIn messages. "Danny, you're wasted over there. Come where your talent will be appreciated." I'd always politely declined. Loyalty, I guess, or maybe just fear of change. He answered on the second ring like he'd been waiting for my call. "I was wondering when you'd finally come to your senses," he said after I told him what happened. "I'm not calling about a job," I replied. "I'm calling about Dr. Elena Chen and the new treatment guidelines." Silence on the line. Then "I'm listening." I told him everything. The upcoming guidelines change. My relationships with the top rheumatologists. How Helix had no idea what was coming. "Danny, do you understand what you're saying? This information is," he paused, "extremely valuable. I know exactly what it's worth," I said. "And I know what I'm worth, too." 2 days later, I was sitting in Luminer's sleek downtown office, not interviewing for a sales position, negotiating as a consultant. The contract they offered was for $250,000, 6 months of work, helping them prepare for the guideline changes, introducing them to my physician network. $250,000 to essentially hand them the playbook. I asked for double and equity and a director-level position afterward if I wanted it. Xavier laughed not unkindly. "You really do have that killer instinct," Prior mentioned. I froze. "You know, Prior, we worked together at Novartis years ago." He shrugged. "Small industry." That night, I couldn't sleep. Was I really doing this? Jumping to a competitor using relationships I'd built at Helix? Was I becoming everything I hated about corporate America? I called my mom at 2 a.m., told her everything. Danielle, she said, she only uses my full name when it's serious. That company took your 20s. They took your marriage. She wasn't wrong. Ryan and I separated 3 years ago. He got tired of competing with my job, my phone, my constant travel. I feel like I'm married to Helix, not you, he said as he packed his things. You gave them everything, Mom continued, and they discarded you like it meant nothing. You don't owe them your silence. The next morning, I accepted Luminar's offer, all my terms, but I added one condition. I wouldn't start for 30 days. By the delay, Xavier asked. Personal matters to attend to, I said vaguely. Those personal matters were actually phase 2 of what I'd started to think of as my resurrection plan. Remember that's something else I discovered while building my receipts folder. During all those months of documenting Priyer's behavior, I'd found patterns, discrepancies, numbers that didn't add up. Our commission structure was complicated with different percentages for different products and account types. Most reps just trusted the reports. Not me. I'd started cross-checking everything after my first suspiciously low commission check. What I found was subtle but undeniable. Priyer had been systematically skimming from our commissions for years. A percentage point here, a miscategorized sale there, small enough that most people wouldn't notice, but across an entire sales team. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I had proof, spreadsheets, emails, reports where she'd manually adjusted figures. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing a meticulous case, not just about the commission theft, but everything else. The pattern of discrimination, the credit stealing, the sabotage. On day 15, after my firing, I sent an email to Helix's CEO, CFO, and entire board of directors. Subject line, fraudulent activities in Northeast Sales Division. Documentation attached. The email was professional, factual, devastating, no emotional language, just evidence, irrefutable evidence. I also blind copied Ranarter from accounting because allies matter. Then I waited. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Danielle, Mrs. Richard Kwon, CEO of Helix Biotherapeutics. Do you have a moment to talk? His voice was tight, controlled. I'd only met him twice at company events. He'd never remembered my name. I'm actually about to head into a meeting. I lied. I was actually in my pajamas eating Cheerios straight from the box. But I can make time tomorrow. Power move. Make him wait. The next day, I dressed like I was going to war. My best suit. Hair perfect. The red lipstick I'd been saving for special occasions. We met at his office, top floor, corner view. He didn't offer me coffee. We've been investigating your allegations, he said, making it sound like I'd claimed to see Bigfoot. Some of what you've presented is concerning. Concerning? I repeated. I've shown you evidence that a senior manager has been embezzling from the company and systematically discriminating against employees. Is concerning really the word you want to use, Mr. Vaughn? He cleared his throat. We're taking it seriously. I assure you, we've placed Priyer on administrative leave pending. Administrative leave? I interrupted. So, she's getting paid while you investigate her theft. Interesting approach. He didn't like that. His jaw tightened. Miss Winters, what exactly is it you want from this meeting? What do I want? Such a simple question, with such a complicated answer. I want 3 things, I said calmly. First, I want a public acknowledgement of what happened, including a retraction of my termination. Second, I want compensation for the commissions that were stolen from me. And third, I paused, making sure he was really listening. I want you to know that the rheumatology treatment guidelines are changing next month, and Sorivex is being listed as a first-line treatment. A change I facilitated, but was fired before I could tell anyone about his face. God, I wish I had a picture of his face in that moment. The color drained from it so fast. I thought he might pass out. What did you just say about the guidelines? I smiled. Not nicely. Ask Dr. Eleanor Chan. Oh, wait. You can't. She only talks to me. That meeting lasted 3 more hours. By the end, Richard Kwon wasn't sitting behind his desk anymore. He was pacing, making calls, asking me questions about what the guidelines would say, exactly what doctors I had relationships with, what this meant for Helix. I answered selectively, gave him just enough to understand what had been lost. "We need to rectify this situation immediately." He finally said, "I want to offer you your position back with a promotion to senior director and a significant compensation adjustment." I actually laughed out loud. "Mr. Kwan, I don't work here anymore. You fired me, remember? Or rather, you allowed Priya to fire me because I missed a target by 3% while she was stealing from the company. We can fix this," he insisted. "Name your price." "That's just it," I said, standing up to leave. "You still think everything has a price, that you can just throw money at problems you created. You never once asked about the toll this took on me, the nights I couldn't sleep, the doctor's appointments I missed because of this job, the marriage I lost." His face clouded. "So there's nothing we can offer." "I didn't say that," I replied. "But what I want isn't a job." What followed was the most satisfying negotiation of my life. I left Richard Kwan's office with a settlement agreement for 1.22 million, the exact value of the university hospital deal Priya had taken credit for, plus a signed letter admitting my termination was wrongful and a non-disparagement clause that went both ways. But here's what I didn't take: their offer to return, because 2 weeks later I started at Lumina as their new director of strategic partnerships. My first project, developing programs for rheumatologists transitioning patients to Luminener's competing drug. Once the new guidelines published, you should have seen Helix scramble when those guidelines came out. Their stock jumped 24% in a day, then crashed when investors realized they had no strategy to capitalize on it. No relationships with the key opinion leaders, no prepared marketing materials, no training for their sales team. Meanwhile, Luminer was ready. We'd been preparing for weeks, had everything in place. 3 months later, Helix's quarterly report showed a 31% decline in Sorave prescriptions. Luminener's competing drug was up 47%. As for Priya, she was fired, obviously, but it went beyond that. The commission skimming was referred to the district attorney's office. Last I heard, she took a plea deal. No jail time, but 5 years probation and full restitution. Her LinkedIn now says she's a business consultant, code for unemployable. Richard Kwan stepped down to pursue other opportunities 6 months later. The board never forgave him for letting a $500 million opportunity walk out the door. And me, I've been at Luminer for 18 months now. I was promoted to Vice President of Market Development last quarter. I have a team of 26 people. Nobody takes credit for my work. Nobody moves my targets. Nobody tells me I lack killer instinct. I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it's nice. I actually have time to go on dates now, to sleep, to call my mom more than once a week. Last month, I ran into Jatin, Priya's former golden boy, at a conference. He looked exhausted, hollow-eyed, said he was on track to miss his quarterly target. Asked if Luminer was hiring. I gave him my card, told him to call me when he was ready for a change. Not because I've forgotten what it was like working under Priya's regime, but because I remember exactly what it was like. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, if I crossed lines I shouldn't have, if I became something I swore I'd never be. But then I remember Priya's words. You just don't have that killer instinct this role requires. She was wrong. I had it all along. I just needed the right motivation to find it. So here's what I've learned. If you stayed with me this long, your worth isn't determined by people who don't value you. Loyalty to a company that isn't loyal to you is just self-destruction with a prettier name. Document everything, always, even when things seem fine. And sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's showing them exactly what they lost when they threw you away. If you're watching this and you're in a Priya situation right now, I want you to know something. You're not crazy. You're not being too sensitive. Your instincts are probably right. Start her receipts folder today. And if you're watching this because you love a good revenge story, well, I hope I delivered. This isn't some made-up internet fantasy. This is my life. This happened. I'm still processing it, honestly. If you liked this video, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. I'd love to know if you've ever had your own workplace revenge moment or if you're currently plotting one. No judgment here. And before anyone in the comments says, I should have handled this differently, maybe you're right, but this is what I did. This is how I survived. And honestly, I'd do it again. Thanks for listening to my story. Sometimes I still can't believe it myself, but here I am, still standing, still selling, just not giving my soul away anymore. Oh, and Priya, if you're watching this, check your teeth before your next interview. You've still got lipstick on that front tooth. I invite you to subscribe to the Azad Revenge Stories channel, like this video, and support me further by hitting the like button so the story in this video can be heard by many more people. Thanks to all.